Welcome to a new course of AI, machine learning, data science, and big data analytics. So, as the first class of this course, we're going to introduce you to AI, machine learning, data science, big data, and data-driven decisions. Before getting into the hands-on progress or the process of this class, we have to know the overview of this class. So, starting off, what is artificial intelligence or AI? The branch of computer science known as artificial intelligence teaches robots to think, learn, and carry out tasks that typically require human intelligence. Now, what are the examples of AI? There are various examples and a vast in this modern era. So, some of the suggested are Google Maps route recommendations, suggestions for YouTube and Netflix, on phones, face unlock, chatbots, autonomous vehicles, and voice assistant such as Alexa, Siri, and there are so much more right now. Now, even though there are examples of AI, AI also has a specific subfield. Now, they are basically composed of four parts. Those are machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, and computer vision. So all of them together combines up and creates the AI subfield. Now, let's move on to the real world AI application. Now, there are various and almost all the industries which are growing every day uses AI, such as in healthcare, MRI images analysis, disease prediction, and so more is done just by using AI. For money, stock forecasting, and fraud detection. For retailing, prediction, consumer behavior. In learning, there is learning analytics and automated grading. For transport, there is autonomous vehicles and route optimization. And for promoting, there is recommendation engines and targeted advertisement, which basically help you to promote even, let's say, people and also products at the same time. Now, what is data science? The study of gathering, cleaning, analyzing, and displaying data in order to obtain insightful information is known as data science. Now, data science is not much different than AI because the data that is used to create AI or program the AI comes from the data science. Now, data science also has a specific workflow, such as getting information, pure data, examine, image, create models, which is ML, which works in machine learning, and even make choices. So all of these combine up and create the workflow of data science. Now, let's check out the differences of DS, which is data science, ML, machine learning, and AI, artificial intelligence. Now, I have differentiated the terms and the meaning of these, so it will be easier for you to understand. Such as AI basically works with big idea, which involves machine behave and also the intelligence. Now there is ML, which is machine learning, which utilizes the data to teach the machines the exact behavior and the response it should give it to the user. Then there is deep learning, which is basically the neural network for machine learning. And then we have the data science, which utilizes data to gain the understanding from the users and respond correctly. Now, machine learning versus deep learning versus data science. Now, I'm going to go more into the vast description and the extended explanation about them, so make sure not to skip any part about this. First off, we're going to start off with the machine learning. Now, machine learning uses algorithms such as these forms of data to learn, which are regression in linear form, which is going to be a bit complicated if you have no prior experience with programming languages. There is trees of decision, which basically works with conditions and even loops to make sure that it gives out the exact criteria and the exact result what the user expects. Then there is KNN, which I'll be getting more further into this course. And then there is the random forest, which is also a module mostly used by Python, but I'm also going to get in through those after we start our practical classes. Then there is deep learning. So for deep learning, there is a neural network, or deep learning is mainly the neural network which machine learning uses. So it is basically modeled after the human brain and also used in DL or deep learning. Now, these are basically utilized in identification of faces, translation of languages, and autonomous vehicles, which are very much, visible in our modern era, such as we have face IDs on our phone, we have touch IDs, and there are a lot of softwares which basically help you to translate language. And obviously, we also see nowadays there is autonomous vehicles which are already running in a lot of regions. Now, the last one is basically the data science. Now, what is data science? So basically everything pertaining to data and decision is basically known as data science. So there are some basic comparative analysis of all of these three terms. So the definition of data science is to study the data and understand what is actually happening. Now, this mainly helps you in a couple of cases, such as prediction and maybe even getting the outcome, or, a lot of cases. And machine learning basically makes predictions based on data. So everything is intertwined and linked together to give you out the exact type of results. And on the other hand, we have the deep learning, which is basically the ability to use huge data plus neural networks to make advanced predictions. Okay, so among them we have gotten the explanation of all of these, but what is the big data? So there are large and complicated data sets that are beyond the capabilities of conventional technologies, are referred to as big data. So you will also find out a couple of data like them in Excel or CSV, which I'm going to be working with in this class, which is going to basically give you a clear and a vivid idea about how it is possible and how you're going to make sure to work along with it. Now, what are the characteristics of a big data? Now, in volume, it has enormous amount of data. In velocity, there could be data speed, which you should be working with. There should be specific coordination, which you will be working with, and all of them are going to be float data or integer data, but on the basis of the text. Then there is a variety, such as text, audio, and photos. So it's not like any specific type of data that you will have to work with, but there could be a vast amount of data. There could be even different types of formats. There could be different type of extensions, and everything is termed in cases of this big data. Now, there is also accuracy and veracity, which is basically going to help you to find out the exact point and exact coordinates of specific type of data which the user is expecting. And there is the value, which is practical knowledge. Now, nothing can be done without, knowing and without any experience. So I'm going to guide you through the whole process. And if you're facing any problem, feel free to ask me anytime. I will guide you through the whole thing. Just one thing I would suggest you is make sure not to skip anything, because if you do, you might miss on something very important and later on face, a couple of errors. Now, where is the big data used? Now, most big data are used for analytics for social media or even different web pages. Then there is financial transactions. There is e-commerce practices. There are smartwatches for health monitoring, and also logs of telecom calls. So all of these combined basically is used by big data. Okay. Now, what is data-driven decision making? So making any decisions based on facts rather than conjectures are known as data-driven decision making. Now, what are the examples of those? Such as, whenever you are using Netflix, it uses a type of audience data to choose which shows to develop, such as there are ratings, there are comments, and so much more. And it also tracks down in specific regions that what is basically trending. It basically helps you and the user to get what is basically, good and what is bad. So data-driven decision making is very useful in these cases. Then we have is the product suggestions, which are made by Amazon. Now, we already know that Amazon is the biggest and the largest product consuming online website. So you can use that and you will get an idea about how the suggestions and recommendations come to your page. Then there are banks that use risk prediction to determine whether to approve loans or not. So obviously each and every one of these people which are trying to get loans in banks have a specific analytic, which basically helps you to like overcome and also determine that if the person can take the loan or not. And it also determines how much can the person take the loan, and also based on the EMIs and so on. So all of these together basically gives you an overview about this course and what is basically AI. There is artificial intelligence, there is data science, machine learning, deep learning, and even big data. So hope you understood about everything in this presentation that I have given you. Now I'm going to show you also the process of how you're going to set up your device so that you can keep on working with it, and how you're going to progress with work in this course. And make sure to follow through, because there are going to be some, like complex parts which you need to follow through and use the exact same methods that I use. Okay? So without any further ado, first off, open up any of, your web browser which you have on your device. It doesn't matter whichever it is, but I would suggest you that to use any Chromium based, browser, which is basically going to help you to get indulged into more of the functionalities that we're going to use and show in this class. So let's just open up our browser. So as you can see that I have opened up Google, and I'm also using the Arc browser. You can use like Mozilla, or maybe even use Microsoft Edge or Chrome, whichever you prefer. Now, the first thing that you want to install on your device is going to be Python, which is going to be helping us throughout the whole course. So type in download, or search for download Python. And I would suggest you not to install, Python from any third-party web pages. Instead, just go off to python.org, click on the first link, and click on the latest version of, whichever meets up your, OS. Now, as I'm using Windows, you can use like, Linux, Mac OS, Android, or whichever you are using. Make sure to click on them so it works perfect on your device. Now, if you are on Windows just like me, just click on this download Python manager, or you can also install just Python, which is going to run perfectly on your device. So just click on that and it will start installing. You can see this is like downloading, and it's going to take just a bit of time. Now, after this is done, you also want to download any IDE, such as you can use VS Code, which already comes, by default with Windows nowadays. But I'm going to be using PyCharm, which is like completely based and made specifically for Python project. So here I'm going to download PyCharm. Now, if you don't have any prior experience with PyCharm, it is completely fine. You have to find out whichever IDE is comfortable for you. Now, I'm using PyCharm because I've been using PyCharm for a long time. Now, if you have like prior experience with PyCharm, is that you will see, or you have seen, that there were two of these type of PyCharm. One was the community edition and one was professional. Now, if you're still or if you get back, or if you're back to Python or PyCharm after a really long time, then you will see, or you will search for the community edition, which is totally free. But now what PyCharm did is that they created this unified product, which is going to be free, and it is also going to give you a pro trial for a month. So download this unified product and install the one which basically is suitable for your device. Now, if you have the newest hardware which is available right now, which is basically ARM64, then download the ARM64. But if you are on the older hardware, then click on EXE Windows. If you're using any different type of OS, all of them are available over here for Linux and also for Mac OS. And just click on install or EXE download. Now you will see that it will also start installing in just a bit of time. There you go. And after this will be done, what you want to do is make sure to install Python first and then install PyCharm. Now you can see that I have opened up PyCharm. Now, another thing that I'm going to show you is that whenever you are installing PyCharm and also Python, make sure you add it to the path so that Python is detected on every project that you create. Now, even if you did not do that process, then I'm going to show you. Just open up your Windows and search for variable. Okay. So click on edit system variable. So in this way, this type of platform will open up on your screen, and click on environment variable. And you will see over here on path, there's going to be this script, okay? Now, how are you going to make sure that this is the exact script? So search for Python again on your device, okay? Now open up file location and right click over here, click on properties, and over here you will find out the exact location, okay? And you will see that even if you click or select this whole thing, Control C, cut this off, this is the exact same location. Now, if you do not have this path, just click on edit, click on this over here, click on edit again, and paste the exact location and press on OK. In this way, Python will be detected on your device and you don't even have to do anything. Okay? Press on OK and then you're good to go. But make sure to install Python first and then install PyCharm. Okay? Now, if you don't have any, prior experience with PyCharm, you can see this is the project panel. We have the customization panel. We have the plugins over here. And at the end, we have learn. So you can learn from their, community. And it is a totally active community. You will be able to get any Gits or whatever you need to learn. Okay. Now, if you have previous Python project, everything will appear over here. You can search for them, or you can open them up anytime you want to from any type of directory. Okay. Now, the next part is creating a project. Now here, I'm going to name a project, let's say AI course intro. Now you will see that it is detected in my device. Also 3.14 is also detected, but I most of the time prefer using 3.12 because that is the most stable version. Now the next thing that you want to do is inherit the package and make available to all the project. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is click on custom environment and make sure to click on virtual environment, and in environment click on generate new. In this way, the virtual environment is going to be created every time you create a new project. Then press on create and wait for a bit. So after you create your project, this is exactly how it will appear up, totally clean. Now, there was another option of creating a welcome page. I would suggest you not to use that because that just creates an extra page and that is completely unnecessary. Now, the first thing that you want to know about is that this is the terminal. Now, if you want to install any new module, you install it through here. But you can also install it through the interpreter settings. Go down and click on interpreter settings, and from here you'll be able to install new packages or whatever package that you need. Okay, you can also update the versions of those packages, which is going to basically help you with a lot of bug fixes. Now, as we're going to be working with a vast amount of data and data analytics, there is a specific module completely popular and the most used, which is pandas. So here, type in import pandas as PD. Hit on enter and wait for a bit. Now you will see that the import is not working over here. So here, type in pip install pandas. Now wait for a bit. If you already have pip installed, then it is going to install the latest version of pandas and also pip available for you, which you can use. Okay, just wait for a couple of seconds and make sure you have a stable internet connection, which is going to basically help you to install and download whatever file that is needed from the web. Okay, so after a couple of time, you will see that it will be done. So wait for a bit and let me just skip to the part where it is completely done. So you will see over here that now Python is updated, or pip is updated, and also pandas is updated on your device. Now, just like I said at the beginning that we're going to be working with Excel files and also CSV files. So the first thing that you want to do over here on the venv, create a Python file just like this. Here I'm going to put in intro. Now click on enter and you will see an extension will be created, which is .py, which basically indicates a Python file. Now another thing that I'm going to create over here is click on file. Here I'm going to have the dataset .csv. So we have the CSV file. you can see that CSV files are supported by PyCharm Professional. I'm just going to click on Dismiss. I'm going to click on Install the plugin, and it is going to search for the plugin which is basically needed for working with CSV files. So wait for a bit as it is searching for the repository, and after a while you will see how it basically works. Now, another thing that I'm going to mention is that I have created this class to show it for total beginners so that you can load the data, analyze it, and even get the insights. Okay, so let's get started with this class. There we go. We need all of these. So click on all of these and click on OK. Now you will see over here, every plugin will be installed, but it is going to require internet connection. Okay, so make sure you are connected throughout the whole time. Now let's just skip to the part where all of them is done. So just as you can see that my data set is now looking like this because I have a new module. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do over here is start off with the data. Let's say I'm going to put in username, then I'm going to put in age, and then I'm going to have in units. Here I'm going to put in Alan. Then let's say the age of this person is 18 and the units is 88. In the same way, let's just create more data. Let's say Sarah. Here I'm going to put in 32 and unit should be 76. Here I'm going to put in John, 32 or 31. Unit is 89. And let's say I'm going to put in another data over here. Let's say Milo. This person is only 17. And let's say this person got a score of 95. So we have this data over here, which is going to work as the data set. Now you can select all of these and you can turn this into a heading if you prefer. Now, but the first thing that I want to do is I just want to show you how you can use simple data analytics code. Now, I'm not going to be explaining all of these data or all of the things that I'm going to use in this class because this is the introduction. So first off, I'm going to import pandas as PD. Okay, then we're going to load in the data set. So I'm going to put in data equal pd.read_CSV. Now you're going to define which data you want to use, which is basically the dataset. Dataset.csv. Now, as we already have this data, now we want to check that if the data is visible or not. So here I'm going to put in print, which is the most common function of Python. I'm going to put in full data, and then you want to print out the exact same data set by the variable. Now run it and check if the data shows up on your screen or not. As you can see, we have the username, the age, and the units, and all of these data basically match up to this data. Okay, now as we are done like printing out the data, the next thing that I want to do is I want to do some basic statistics, which is going to be inside of data science. So let's say I want to print out a specific value, \n. Let's say I'm going to put in the average unit score. Now, as we want to print out the average unit score, we have to define the data variable. Now, another thing, we have to make sure we use the units. So here, I'm going to put in units. After that, put in .mean, which is going to be the function, which is basically going to average and sum up all of the data that is inside of the units category. Now let's run this again, and you will see the average unit score is 87.0. So that is basically how you're going to do some basic statistics using data science. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is going to be comprised of the machine learning, which is going to be the prediction logic. Now, whenever you are using prediction logic, you have to use functions of Python and also the conditional loop, which is the if, elif, and the else. So first off, let's just define it. Let's say predict unit. So here in this variable, we're going to print out units. Okay. After that, you want to put in the if, then I'm going to put in if units is greater than 85, then I want to print out return, let's say, distinction. Then if it meets up my criteria of another value, let's say units, if it is greater or equal to 72, or let's say 75, okay? Then this will return as, let's say, passed. And if none of these criterias match up, then it should return as fail. So the last thing that I want to do is I want to print out the data set, which is going to be the variable of units, which is going to be equal to data, let's say units. Now over here, we can also put in unit underscore score. After units, put in dot apply. And then I'm going to put in predict unit, which is going to be the variable. Close it off. On the last lines, we want to print out the whole thing, /n. Let's say predicted units. And also, we want to make sure to print out the whole data set. So if you run this, you will see that we have the predicted units. Alan is distinction, Sarah has passed, John and Milo has distinction at the same time. So what it basically does over here is that we're using pandas first, which basically helps us to load and analyze the data, which basically works for data science. Then we have the mean value, which is used over here. This basically gives out the average numerical value or the integer value, and it is used to make specific decisions. Now the decisions are basically made over here in the definition, which is predicting the units. So the predict units and variable units is the basic machine learning logic. So we are not using deep learning, neither we are using, prediction. Okay, even though we are using prediction, we're using the most common and the simple data analytics method. Okay, so yet even though it requires large data sets, so we're just going to ignore deep learning for now. Okay, so by the end of this whole class, what you have learned is what is AI, what are the real world AI examples, what is data science, the difference between ML or machine learning, data learning, and also data science. Then what is basically a big data set? Then we have data-driven decision making, and how are you going to write your first data set just like this. Okay, so what I want you to do is just understand all of these terms, why are they used, how you can put in modules, and how you'll be able to work with these type of data and also these type of works in Python. Okay, you can also create a visual diagram just by using the data sets, but we're going to show them to you later on in this course. So hope you understood about everything in this class, and thank you for watching it up till the very end. So without any further ado, let's hop on to our first practical class of this course of Python, AI, machine learning, deep learning, and data science.